Oh my.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7 of the Severed Floor. I'm your host, TJ Zwarych, ready to break down Severance Season 2, Episode 6. Joining me, as always, my good friend and co-host, Rachel Leishman. How you doing today, Rachel?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about maybe not. I don't like watching Adam Scott sex scenes, I've decided. He's just my husband, but I don't need to think about the sex scenes. Don't love that. So I can't wait to talk about those.
You're far less open-minded than Fields. Fields would have far less of a problem with that, but shout out to those who are joining us live. Smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're joining us after the fact, do the same. Follow the Agents of Fandom on socials, at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else. See, we already got Falcons Nat / Layla in the chat.
My daughter.
Mom? Is that you, Rachel? But joining us as well. First time on the pod breaking down Severance, but many times here before. You know him well from ScreenRant. Liam Crowley. How are you doing, my friend?
Hello. It's good to be here. I think it was my first time here with my current hair. I don't know why I noticed that, but I was like remembering the last time I was here, and I was like, I feel like I was in a different background, in different clothes. My hair looked different. So it's cool to be here in 2025. What was the first time I was on Agents of Fandom? Like 2022?
2022 probably would have been the first one. I believe you were on our second show ever. We had Chris Killian on the first one, then I believe you were our very second one ever, and that probably was 2022, maybe 2021. I can't remember at this point.
That's crazy. Well, here we are. Severance Season 2.
You got yourself a brand new show over on ScreenRant that you got going on. So before we even start talking about Severance, why don't you let the people know what you got cooking?
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity to plug. I have a show at ScreenRant called Coffee Chats, which is a sit-down interview series with actors, directors, producers, talent from across the Hollywood sphere. And we have a casual conversation over a cup of coffee. My favorite way to talk to my friends is now something that I talk to my interview subjects for, which is awesome. The first episode with Noah Centineo is live right now on the ScreenRant Plus YouTube channel. It's very easy to find. Just search Coffee Chats Noah Centineo, Coffee Chats ScreenRant. And we are actively working on episode 2. I can't say too much about where it's going to be, who it's going to be with, but if I get my wish, it will be really, really cool. So those episodes should be dropping monthly is the goal right now. So just keep a lookout. And if you like the casual style of interview, I love a good analytical junket, but there is something to be said for a chill, calm, cozy conversation. And that is what Coffee Chats is.
Check it out. Coffee Chats by ScreenRant and Liam up on their YouTube page now. Can't wait for episode 2. Make sure you check that out. I got another extra shout out to our live viewers, because we got Layla and Brandon who don't even watch Severance. They don't give a damn about this show, but they wanted to come in and say hello because we got Rachel, we got Liam, we got such a great crew here today. And so before we even go towards Severance, I want to have a quick rendition of Whatcha Watchin, because I have been on a tear lately. I finished my Defenderverse watch, and so now I'm catching up on all the new shows. I'm watching a ton of movies lately. I watched the Paddington movies for the first time. I'm feeling good about it. They were so much fun. I got to watch The Gorge last night. That was just fine. It was okay. It was all right. And then the last episode of Paradise on Disney Plus is so wildly incredible. Best of the season so far. If Severance wasn't out right now, I would say Paradise is the best show on TV, but Severance is taking that edge for me. Rachel, how about you? What have you been watching?
I watched The Monkey last night, and let me tell you, I love Osgood Perkins so much. He said, I'm going to turn this short story about a monkey that claps a lot, and it's just like, I'm going to erase a child from it, and I'm going to turn it into trauma about dads. And I was like, great, this is perfect. No notes. The kills are fine. They're fun. That's not what's important to me about the monkey. What's important to me about the monkey is dads. One dad being Adam Scott, and then the other dad being Theo James. And thank you to everyone who did not tell me Adam Scott was in that movie. I appreciate it. I had no idea, and I went in and was screaming at the top of my lungs. Other than that, I'm watching The Traitors and Daredevil, my rewatch. That's all.
I did get to see the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again. Cannot tell you how I feel about them yet. Stay tuned. Review and breakdown coming to the Agents of Fandom soon. And as well as on Saturday, I will be interviewing the showrunner Dario Scardapan, as well as, I don't know if I said that right, as well, better figure that out before tomorrow, as well as Sana Amanat, the co-creator of Ms. Marvel, working on Ms. Marvel comics, Daredevil comics, and Hawkeye comics, and also executive producer of Daredevil Born Again. So looking forward to that. Liam, how about you? What you been watching?
Whole bunch of stuff. It's an active quarter one, I would say, of TV and film. Currently, Reacher season 3, 0 Day on Netflix. Huge fan of that miniseries. It's 6 hours of your time. Please give it a watch. I think it's a seminal project. I think it'll become more and more relevant as the years go on. Watch it now before it becomes required viewing in your APUSH classes. Beyond that, I also have seen Daredevil Born Again episodes 1 and 2. I will not comment on that. And then other than that, what have I seen in theaters? I really liked The Last Breath. It comes out pretty soon. Deep sea diving movie, true story, Simu Liu, Woody Harrelson. Cleaner with Daisy Ridley. I thought it was a dumb, fun action movie. Yeah, it's Die Hard with window cleaners, but who cares? Sometimes that works. And what else? There's so much. I could go into my letterbox right now, but I would just bore you with the details. So those are the main shows.
I like that we're all like, hi, guys, we've seen the first 2 episodes of Daredevil. Anyways,
Yeah.
I just can't say anything. Sworn to secrecy.
Sworn to secrecy. Not breaking that Disney contract. They don't want to be messing with those Disney snipers Feige's got going on. So
I love
the
Mickey
internet
Mouse.
cuts out.
I love
Yeah,
Mickey
exactly.
Mouse. It's my guy Mickey.
Let's dive into.
Can we talk about Mickey 17?
Oh,
Speaking of which,
Oh yeah, Mickey.
social
Mouse.
embargo lifted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Mickey 17. It was fun. It was a good time.
It rules. It's weird as shit.
I think I saw it in IMAX, and that was awesome.
I don't remember where I saw it.
I think it was the Dolby. It was the Dolby in New York.
I saw it at Warner Brothers, whatever that theater is.
Yeah.
Give me Robert Pattinson being weird, and I'm in. That's basically what it comes down
to.
And
Ruffalo's really good in it.
And also Toni Collette's obsessed with sauce, which I think is the funniest thing on this planet. I don't know why. That's her whole character.
That was strange.
Let's dive into Severance season 2, episode 6. Before we talk full spoilers, Liam, were you like Rachel and watched the show when it came out and had the devastating wait of 3 years, or were you like me and just waited until season 2 was about to drop and did the binge?
Yeah, no, I'm a Severance OG. I'm a Severance day one. All you people taking Severance to the mainstream right now, making your TikTok edits about your innies and outies, where were you when we needed you when season 1 was airing live? We could have had season 2 a year earlier if you all supported this show like you do right now in 2022. Where were you guys? Anyways, I'm a Severance OG. I'm happy to say that this is a show I got my friends into, and now it's blowing up. And it's always cool when you like discover something that's like kind of niche, and it by season 2 or season 3 it becomes widely mainstream. That was honestly the trajectory of Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones didn't become the cultural phenomenon it became until like season 4. So yeah, I am a Severance day one. I have been impatiently waiting for the resolution to that season 1 finale, and we are 6 episodes in, TJ, and I still have no answers.
And
what are your thoughts on
Liam? But Liam also had to watch all 6.
Oh yeah, I saw the first 6 episodes in December. Little tease for what's coming up this weekend. I have an interview with Christopher Walken that has been embargoed until today. So be on the lookout on ScreenRant for a full spoiler episode 6 chat with the legendary Christopher Walken soon. But that was the funniest interview I've ever done. I did that before Christmas. And they're like, yeah, this is under embargo until February 21st, 2025. I was
you
like,
were like,
okay.
did you watch all of them? And I went, no, I watched 2. And I said, I will be saving these. And it ended up working out because I had Dan Erickson and Patricia Arquette. Patricia Arquette has not been in another episode post episode 2. And I like straight up told Dan Erickson, I like watching this show and theorizing. So I didn't want to binge. And he was like, oh, I like that. So it was very funny because I was like, Liam, don't say a thing to me.
Yeah,
I haven't seen, I was like, don't say a thing. I've only seen 2 episodes.
Liam, so you've been sitting on this season for a while now, and next week is going to be the big one because next week is fresh, no screeners, and going into episode 7. But what have you thought of season 2 so far, compared to season 1 and just as a whole?
It's really hard to compare the 2 seasons because part of the magic of a season 1 of any show that is so heavily focused on a mystery is the fact that we're going in so blind. We're going in not knowing how much questions and answers we will get and whether those questions have layers and stuff like that. So for me, season 1 still has an edge above season 2 just because of the sheer mystery. And now we're in this season and it's like, I'm expecting when there's a room on the severed floor with goats and what's going on there, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense at this point, given what's going on with this company, Lumen, and all that. But that being said, I was still edge of my seat. This was not one that I was like anticipating watching all the screeners for. And then I was watching it and it was the classic. It's 9 p.m. I should go to bed. What's one more episode? It's 10 p.m. I should go to bed. What's one more episode? It's 11 p.m. It's 1 a.m. It's 2 a.m. Let's just watch all 6. That I've never had that happen to me before. When you get a batch of screeners, usually you watch them in chunks. And no matter how good a show is, we're kind of in this day and age where it's really hard to sit still for 6 hours straight. And Severance makes me sit still. Severance makes me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And I think that is a true testament to the writing, the storytelling, the acting, the world building, and just the sheer what the F is going on.
Couldn't agree more. I love a mystery, and I love especially a mystery where I'm wrong. Like I love to theorize, but I don't necessarily want to be like, got it, I nailed it. I want to get a few right, but at the end of the day, I want a show to confuse me, to surprise me, and that is absolutely what Severance is doing. Rachel, I've been so excited to talk about this episode with you since I watched it yesterday because we always goof around on these shows when the content we're watching starts getting a little horny. And I feel like that was this episode to the max, not just one person, but everybody. And then also because we finally got a lot of Irv and Burt content throughout this whole episode. So this has been one I've been excited to talk about. What'd you think?
So love my Burt and Irving. Like I said, I was like, I think I've never really, I've seen Adam Scott do sex scenes, but like not like sweet like this was. And I was like, I don't know that I love that. But I saw a tweet that said, Mark S is the only man to take a woman's virginity twice. And I think that's kind of funny because it was like, he thought the first time he was like, let's go. And then I saw another tweet where it's like when they're in the hallway and he like pulls that move on her and pushes her against the wall, where they're like, this guy has sex twice and already thinks he's already acting like this, dear God. And I think that is a really fun way of watching that relationship. I also think it gives me the ick because like I hate Helena. And so I'm like, no matter what, you probably are going to end up having a child with an evil woman. And I don't like that. But on the flip of that, I do like that he is a lover, not a fighter. That's so true. I do love that Dylan is having an affair with his own wife and Burt and Irving are maybe in a threesome. Like all of it is just weird and I love all of it. I think it's crazy and I like that this is where the show is going. We have forgotten about the micro data analyzing of it all and everyone's just kind of sleeping with each other now.
I think it's so funny because I'm looking through my notes for this episode and just like in unison, Dylan G, you dog. Helly, you dog. Mark S, you dog. Irv, you dog. Just over and over and over again because that seemed to be what this episode was. Liam, what did you think of Severance Season 2, Episode 6?
I mean, I really like the dynamic going on with Burt and Irving because I find that dynamic so... I'm so fascinated as to where Burt's role within Severance, like where does that begin? Where does that end? Why was he let go? Why was he brought in the first place? So I'm very intrigued on that element and why Burt and Irving kind of gravitate towards each other. Because I think part of like their romantic relationship probably comes from the fact that they have some sort of common ground with how they got involved in Severance in the first place. And to me, that's something I want to continue exploring. So anytime we get like scenes with them, I'm like, great, we're getting closer to the answers I desperately want. The Dylan stuff to me is the best of this romantic portion because it's heartbreaking. The idea of like you're like Rachel said, you're having an affair with your wife. Like Severance season 2 is asking some really, really psychological and therapeutic questions about personality types and personality disorders and what work can do to people and how it can like fundamentally change you without you even realizing it. Like if you work a job you don't like, it can make you like 0.1% worse every day. And those losses eventually stack up to where you're unrecognizable to the people that you build your life with. And what they're exploring with Dylan is like, I've never seen something like that done before. And we've seen a million romance movies. We've seen a million movies of the guy or girl or whoever like loses their memories and they have to fall back in love with their partner and stuff like that. But never like this. Like this is where Severance has such a unique concept, and the luxury of Severance is taking their unique concept and applying it to as many different life questions as possible. And that is what makes the show avoid being boring. I think there's a lot of parallels, not really storytelling wise, but maybe story structure wise between Severance and Lost. And with Lost, eventually it started asking questions that I think they never knew the answer to. They were like, we'll figure out the answer as we go along. We just want to hook you in on the mystery. Every time Severance asks questions, I am fully convinced that they know the answer. They have scripted the answer first and they've worked their way backwards as opposed to the other way around. That's a shout out to Dan Erickson. That's a shout out to Ben Stiller. Shout out to the whole creative team of just being like very smart storytellers and caring about their audience.
I have one quick thing because Liam made me think about it. The Dylan stuff also reminds me of like, you know, the I can't think of a specific example of it, but I've seen it in like, it's a trope. It's a trope where it's like a couple like role playing, pretending they don't know each other and they're meeting in a bar. That is what the Dylan and his wife thing reminds me of. But it is like also kind of sinister because she is like fully aware, like, well, I know what my actual husband is like, but he is like playing that part unintentionally because it's just what he knows. And I think that is also really interesting to unpack because it's like, well, that is a trope that exists, except in this case, one person is fully aware of who they are and the other person is not.
It's like both of you said, we're getting these things that we've seen before, but they're flipping it on its head and doing it entirely unique and fresh. And it's such an interesting dynamic between the two of them too, because for her, I forget what her name is in the show. I always just remember her as Elizabeth from New Girl. But for Dylan G's wife, she's went into this kind of still thinking like, this is my husband. This is not a different guy. This is my husband at work. And I don't think she fully understood the scope of what Severance really was. And now that she is, the more she understands it, the more she's falling back in love with the guy her husband was when she met him. And then on Dylan's side of things, he views his outie as an entirely different person. He's like, fuck that guy. I don't give a damn about him. He's an idiot. And he's almost kind of just like switching things up to, I think I can get thank you, Rachel. Gretchen. I think I can get Gretchen to like me more than my outie. Maybe I can make her my wife. Like that's kind of what it seems like is going on through his head at this time. And he's just so happy to have this type of connection that he's craved. You know, his only perks have been some fruit. It's a little bit of weird goat mask sex stuff at the end of he completed his project last season. And now he finally gets genuine connection.
He ate a waffle.
Yeah, thank you. The waffle party that ended in the weird.
He got tackled.
Masquerading, dancing, music, weird stuff. But it's weird and uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's hard not to be happy for both of them. That it's like you can see how unhappy Gretchen was, and you can see how now happy both of them are hanging out with each other. It's a really, really interesting situation. Let's pivot to another innie outie love triangle and talk Helly, Mark, and Helena, because to me this episode really took things to another level when we get Mark Scout and Helena interacting with each other on the outside, not just Helena and Mark S, not just Helly and Mark S, but actually the two outies interacting with each other at the bar. And like you said, Rachel, it was that one tweet was the one I thought hilarious. Like, dude had sex twice and now he's acting like this. He's been the most awkward guy on the inside the entire 2 seasons. And my man, that was the smoothest little like twirl and pull to the wall for a kiss I've ever seen.
Well, and then he bled all over her face. So like, yeah, it might have been smooth.
Forget about that part.
All over her face. 2 seconds later. I do like, so when the outies meet, it is also so awkward because it cuts to Mark eating Chinese food and he looks depressed as shit. And then it cuts back to Helena and she's like, and then like goes and talks to him, but like is making crazy facial expressions as she does it. And so like to see that scene in comparison to what we saw with Helly and Mark on the severed floor is genuinely like funny to look at as a comparison, Cat. But yeah, I think the outie scene is like made me very uncomfortable. Not only because I don't trust Helena. Yeah, the comment just said when she said the wrong name of his wife. For me, I was like, Hannah, isn't her name Gemma? Like I second guessed my own knowledge because of Helena.
Fear at that moment that it was like, oh no, what if Gemma is the fake identity and Miss Casey is her real identity and her name's Hannah Casey and she's been working for Lumen all along? That's where my brain went as soon as I heard that and I got scared.
I think Helena just wanted to sleep with Mark Scout too. And so she was just kind of trying to fake knowing knowledge about him.
Liam, what's your read on this situation? Because there are so many moments between the 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, depending on how you want to look at this situation, that are uncomfortable and are weird. And then there are some between Helly and Mark S that just actually feel like budding genuine love.
So in our industry, when we get early access to things, some people will be like, why are you ever complaining about this? This is a huge privilege. And it absolutely is. But it can also be a curse because I called that Helly was Helena very early on. I knew she was interrogating the severed floor. I knew it, and I have no receipt, Rachel. I have no evidence because I couldn't timestamp it. I couldn't say anything about it. I called that
notes and put a timestamp, like screenshot the day.
No, literally,
just, write it under
took a video of yourself writing it on paper so that you have like the exact time.
If I put like a sports game on in the background that is like dated to that day, I'd be like, look, this is what's on live.
A national disaster is going to happen behind you. You're going to have your notes for Severance.
As you can see, it's raining today, which is what happened in December. Anyways, that being said, it really bothers me that for whatever reason, people really want to redeem Helena. She's not redeemable. She's evil. She's meticulous. She's conniving. She's making these plans. She has ulterior motives. I don't care if she was born into this evil family. You can inherit evil, even if you didn't choose to be evil. I am so frustrated with this idea of like, no, but like she doesn't really want to like do what she's doing. Yeah, she does. She's manipulative. She's very, especially with the Mark stuff. I'm like, you can be. I guess she kind of teeters on like the anti-hero level because like maybe in the
villain. That's a villain.
Okay, thank you. Okay, because no, I've just seen people saying like she's a victim of the circumstance right now of Lumen and all that, and I'm like, you can take that side, but also acknowledge that what she's doing with Mark is straight up evil. It's like she can be trapped in this like
she sexually assaulted him in the previous episode because he did not know who he was sleeping with. That's a villain. That is a woman who's a villain.
That is a fact that Rachel said. There's no other way to draw it up. That dynamic is also another fascinating question because of just like you said, he basically took someone's virginity twice.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, because he thought he was, and then it was like, well, take two, I guess.
Okay, I guess people are on my side that Helena is a villain. I thought that was
Yeah.
controversial. Twitter is
It's I think where Twitter screws up sometimes is I mean always is
Twitter
nuance.
always screws up.
Exactly. It's the lack of nuance, and I think a lot of people try and understand why she's evil, and in that process think, well, just because there are reasons that led her to do this bad shit, maybe that means she's good. But no, you just because there are reasons because you're evil, that doesn't make you less evil. You can't just say, hey, I had a shitty childhood. My dad doesn't love me. He only cares about his company. I have no connections. So now it's okay that I'm a bad person. No, it still makes you a dick. It still makes you evil, even if, people can understand the reasons behind it. And I do think, I get Helena feels very alone. I think she's kind of just in it by herself. She has no one that really cares about her. But when you're doing evil shit, that still makes you the villain. And so I'm kind of with Chad here, and I feel a little bit more sympathetic to Milchick than I do Helena, because like Helena states to Mark, Scout kind of run the whole company, Mark. And this Milchick stuff at the beginning of the episode was dark. We got, Liam, I'll throw this to you first. We got Milchick and Miss Wong having their little meeting. He puts her in her place a little bit. But then behind the scenes, I kind of was on the page that Milchick was maybe beginning a turn, and he was going to turn against Lumen. But man, he's drilling the paperclip thing in, the grow up, the shortening his words. He's drinking the Kool-Aid right now.
Yeah, Milchick is when I say he's the man, it's only because I interviewed Tramel Tillman for a good, we had a good 20-minute chat, and he just understands this character so well. So it's I don't know, whenever you get to talk with someone that really puts a lot of tender love and care into their character work, it is hard not to root for them, even if they are positioned as an antagonist. But Milchick, his character trajectory is something that is you keep a close eye on it, because like you said, he's technically on the villainous side, but part of him kind of aligns with this wanting to just see the progression through of certain employees, which is that fully evil, or is it someone like Dylan's case where he's actually better when he's severed as opposed to on the outside? I still suspect Milchick will eventually turn to the good side, but it's going to take a lot more trial and error of him having those one-on-one moments, both with the severed floor people, so the Mark S's of the world and the Hellys of the world, but also with the corporate overlords that he's trying to appease, and also too with Harmony. Remind me again where she is in this point. She's been fired. She's on the outside.
No, she got asked back, and that was the last we saw of her.
She got asked back. She said no. She left. She turned around her car and came back. And then she threatened Helena. And the last thing was Helena saying, let's go inside and talk about this. And then we haven't seen her since.
We haven't seen her since.
Well, her and Milchick have always been at odds, because he wants her on the severed floor. She wants her on the severed floor. She's obsessed with Mark S and seeing his progress through. He's more obsessed with seeing through the data refinement goal, whatever that is. So yeah, I'm close eye on Milchick, especially because he's the one character that has a storyline that isn't sexually motivated, and that's nice.
That we know of.
Yeah, currently, I guess. Jeez.
I'm gonna make a little Apple TV to Star Wars connection. I just watched the first season and a half of Silo, and there's a guy at the beginning of Silo on Apple TV Plus named Sheriff Holston, and Sheriff Holston voices Agent Callus in Star Wars Rebels. And Callus is, if you've seen Rebels, that's the vibes I'm getting from Milchick, of somebody who's just the number one on the ground guy that's bothering our protagonists. And eventually he just gets shit on by his superiors enough that he makes the turn to the other side and joins them on their rebellion against the people up top. That's kind of the vibes I'm getting from Milchick, Rachel. What do you think? This episode made me uncomfortable and made me question my whole, he's going to join the light side.
Here's what I'll say about him. As someone who has bad imposter syndrome currently, Milchick got me, because that is a man who understands what imposter syndrome is. And leans hard into trying to get out of it. And I think that's an interesting character choice, especially since in season 1 he seemed like he had answers, and that's very clearly not the case in this season because he's being undermined by a literal child. But yeah, I think he is someone I would describe as an anti-hero because it's like, yes, he's working for the evil company, but also like he's the one who implemented all of this stuff to like make the innies happy. I do think that the turning point would be like I saw someone online thinking that Helly and / Helena is pregnant now, and I was like, I feel like that would be where Milchick was like, this is what happened because we started to do all this crazy, like, Helena came as Helly into the thing, and now this is something I have to deal with on my floor. It would be like his breaking point. But also, I don't know because he was literally ridiculed, and instead of like holding his ground, was like, let me adjust my strategy. It's like, okay, sure, dude.
I would have not have been able to handle that performance review the way he did. I've been in that situation with teaching, and I literally quit on the spot because I was like, you're telling me that all of my kids are doing great. There's no problem with anything that they're doing. But because some parents complained about this, we got to change everything. And I just said, screw you. I don't need this anymore. And I left. And now here we are with Agents Fandom. But I wouldn't have been able to do what Milchick did. Like you said, he just like took the words to heart. And even though 2 complaints were from his child subordinate that works under him, and the other one was not his fault. It was Helena's. Helena got found out, and there was nothing that Milchick could have done about it. I'm really interested to see where his story goes. I'm very, very interested in his mark because I'm still his arc because I'm still on the side that he's gonna turn and join up with Mark S, Helly, Irving, and Dylan, and that he's gonna help them out in some way by the end of this season. I think. Let's pivot to Irving and Burt, because not only was Irving, Burt, and Fields hanging out, having some dinner together, some fun comedy, some interesting moments that reveal about the plot, but first and foremost, what the hell is Burt hiding? Because there was something in this episode where Fields says, no, that wasn't 10 years ago at Lumen. That was with your Lumen partner 20 years ago when you started working there. And Burt clams up. Burt goes white. He did not want Irving to know that he has been at Lumen for 20 years, pre-Severance. What does he know? And what's going on with Burt? He's not the happy-go-lucky, lovable character that I think he is. Liam, I'll throw it to you first because you got a big interview with him dropping right away.
Yeah, his Christopher Walken's insight towards it was a lot of like, well, I'm watching as an audience member too. So like he's delivering certain lines without full context. Like probably when they shot this episode, it was before they shot whatever else he will be in the season. So I think he's largely in the dark. This interview, we did this one in December, so I'll have to go back and give it a watch myself before it drops. But yeah, it's a very like, there's a moment I remember when I believe it's Irving leaves the house and Burt like gives him a look like it's like a stutter step almost, like he's like, wait, don't leave yet. To make a Marvel comparison, it reminded me a lot of when Bucky is getting his mind wiped in the bank vault and he's like, that man on the bridge, like who was he? Like, but I knew him. And he like reluctantly gets his mind wiped, but you can tell there's a little bit of resistance there. And I think Burt is in a place where he has information that he really wants to tell Irving. He wants to be like, here's the truth, here's what's going on, but he can't for whatever reason. Where Fields fits into that, I'd be very intrigued because maybe Fields and Irving met in Lumen. Like there's a lot going on with that like dynamic that I feel like is probably directly correlated to the Kiers. And I don't know where, I don't know how, I don't know why, but I just have a feeling.
He's hiding something, Rachel. What do you think it is? And who do you think Fields is going to end up with in heaven? Is it going to be any Irving, or is any Irving going to end up with Burt? Any Burt going to end up with Irving? What's going on with it? It's another love beyond triangle. It's like a pentagon.
Yeah. It's a hexagon of love. I think that maybe Burt isn't severed at all, and that's why he didn't want him to know, because the severed program didn't exist 20 years ago, from what I know about Severance. And so then if maybe he wasn't severed at all, and so he knew who Burt was, or sorry, he knew who Irving was and knew their whole love story, but had to pretend because he was supposed to be severed. And like maybe that's why he was really like, shut the fuck up. But also, I don't know. As always with Severance, I'm like, they're smarter than me. I don't know what's going on. I will say one thing that I want to start on this show is, where the hell is fucking Robbie Benson? Because I was promised Robbie Benson. His name was credited last episode. I didn't see Robbie Benson. And now I still don't see Robbie Benson. And that's where I'm more like, maybe Fields should just go marry Robbie Benson so that I can see the Beast. Because he has still not shown up and when he's supposed to.
Robbie Benson is Fields' secret lover, so that Burt and Irving can go off together. And I do like your theory, actually, because I think that lends itself to Burt at the end being like, you and me are going to hang out together again, right? Like, we don't need Fields here. Like, you and I can get together. And that was that can actually work twofold with that theory of, one, he's working with Lumen and he wants to know what Irv is up to, but two, he's genuinely in love with Irv. And that feeling on the inside was real for him. He still remembers it. And I like that theory quite a bit. We get a moment with Mr. Drummond looking at a list of people's addresses and Audi full names. And he's going to, and I truly did not know what was going on at this point in the episode. But to me, it felt like it had something to do with Burt or Irving's investigation into Burt's implications with Lumen, or Irving's investigation into Lumen. Liam, did you catch that part where Mr. Drummond's going through like all the names and the addresses, and it felt like he was cluing in on what Irving and the innies are trying to figure out?
I mean, I do feel like when you think that the innies are one step ahead, they're really like still tracking behind anyone who has the keys to the kingdom. So yeah, I didn't lose too much like sleep over that like little moment, because I'm like, man, it's episode 6. We're only halfway through the season, and just the way that narratives kind of ebb and flow, it's like I feel like we can't trust who's truly in control until we get to like at least episode 9. And it's a 10 episode season, right?
I don't remember, honestly.
I believe it's 10. So yeah, moments like that, I'm like, yeah, there's always going to be tension between who's actually in control right now. And Drummond's up to someone. He's always up to someone.
SH in chat saying they think it was he got it from breaking into Irv's house, which again suggests potential Burt working with Lumen, because how would Drummond know to go into Irv's house at that time when he wasn't home? Because maybe Burt and or Field was like, all right, now's your time to investigate this guy. It definitely, I've been pro Burt this whole series, and this episode got me worrying that maybe Burt is not on our side. At the end of this episode, we get essentially Mark just falling apart. Like, he is struggling with this reintegration process. Devin finally meets the woman who he's been working with to try and reintegrate with, and Petey's old friend. And at the end of this, it's like, I want more Devin always, and I want Devin in the know. I don't know why he was trying to hide this from her, aside from maybe it's his sister and she doesn't want him to worry.
Well, doesn't she know that that's how Petey died?
Petey died, yeah. So like probably that is probably why he's not telling her. But at the same time, I want Devin to know about it, and it got me worried. Like, Adam Scott's your boy, Rachel. On a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you that like he, at least the Mark Scout / Mark S that we know, doesn't survive this season?
Well, as long as Adam Scott's alive, I'm fine. But maybe if the clone stuff is all true and they're making clones at Lumen, maybe this is all leading to them making a Mark S clone so then he can finish whatever the thing, Cold Harbor. But I don't know. It's not looking good, and it's because he's not listening when the lady said, you should listen to me because that's what happened to Petey. And he's not doing it, so.
If I had a nickel for every time a project revolving around transferring memories in split personalities resulted in 2 of one person being printed at the same time simultaneously and chaos ensuing, and that episode / movie dropped in March, I'd have 2 nickels, which is not a lot, but it's crazy. It might happen twice.
Liam,
I'm going to make you 17 here, and that's not a spoiler. It's very much in
the trailer.
Yeah.
Liam, what do you think is in store for Mark here? Why is he so important to Lumen? What do you think Cold Harbor is? Kind of like asking that one to every time somebody comes on. What's your best guess to this project he's working on, what it is, and why is he so important?
It has to be something with his wife. Like the fact that his wife was brought into the company, the fact that he started with Lumen because of his wife's death, but his wife is working at the company and he's not aware of it. There's something there. And like, this is one where I'm genuinely stumped. Like I have predicted some elements of Severance. I have outright predicted endings of other TV shows. And I just like, don't know, because it's like, is it something with his DNA? Does he come from a family that is somehow connected to the Kiers? Is it something with his personality type that he's just the only type of person that can work his way into the macro data refinement, whatever is being summoned there? I don't know. TJ, I wish I had an answer for you. I don't know.
And why is Helena trying to have his baby?
One more time?
And why is Helena trying to have his baby?
Yeah, then it must be something with the family. And there must be, like, is Mark a descendant of the Kiers? Is he Mark? Does the S in Mark S stand for Snow? Is he Mark Snow? Is he a bastard child of the Kiers? And he's the one true king that can.
Ugh. That means she slept with her brother.
Get real Game of Thronesy.
Well, people. There's a tweet I saw recently that said Apple TV really just stole HBO's lunch money in terms of like it being like premium quality television. The same way that Zoom did it to I forget the other one. What was the other one? Skype. Yeah, Zoom just all of a sudden just cornered Skype and was like, we're in charge now. If Apple TV really wanted to steal HBO's lunch money, they would go that incest angle with Severance. But I hope they don't. I hope they don't.
In love. I hope
I'm rooting for that. But there's something going on with Mark S's lineage. There has to be.
We can't be adding this level when everyone's already worried about White Lotus to be adding this to Severance.
White Lotus is one of the many mainstream shows that I have not tapped into. And I fear when I start, I'm going to end up like how I feel about all the Severance season 2 watchers of like, this show's really good. It's like, yeah, where were you at the beginning? Like if I start watching White Lotus now, I'll be like, guys, this show's really good. And they'll be like, yeah, it's been on for 3 seasons, pal. Where have you been? So it's best for me to just sit that one out.
I'm on the same page as you. If you ever start it, let me know. We'll start at the same time. And as everybody else is like, I don't want to talk about this shit anymore, we can be like, wow, season 1, episode 7. Can you believe it? Because that's the same page as me. I haven't seen the White Lotus either. This is a great show.
You know, they think incest is going to happen in season 3.
I did. I was catching that piece from Twitter as well, actually. I did get that from social media, but this show is great. I truly think Severance is the best show on television right now. And as I'm saying, I didn't watch White Lotus. I didn't watch this. So as my uneducated opinion of only watching a certain amount of shows, it's the best I've seen right now. But I can't wait for how this concludes. Episode 7, I'm told, is the wild one. It's the one that's going to blow our minds. It's the one that is absolutely the most chaotic of anything we've seen so far. So I cannot wait to dive into that. So make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, because we'll be back every Friday and you don't want to miss out on our Severance breakdowns. We got no more. We'll have a Wednesday off this week because there's no more Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. If you want our Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man breakdowns, you can find them up on the Agents Fandom YouTube page. On Thursday, we will still be breaking down the next episode of Invincible. Myself, Fat Thor, Sean from Metalcore Nerds, as well as Friday, Rachel and I will be back talking episode 7 of Severance. Saturday, we got the Comic Corner going. And like I mentioned, next week, I'll have interviews dropping with the showrunner and executive producer for Daredevil Born Again. So stay tuned, smash the like buttons, follow the Agents of Fandom on socials, at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else. Rachel, what do you have coming up, and where can the people find you on socials?
You can, I don't know. I got South by. I've got things. I feel like I got stuff. I have interviews and stuff that are embargoed. I can't even remember what they are at this point, but they're coming up. They'll be posting. And you can read my work. I'm talking about the monkey a lot today at the Mary Sue. Also, some of my stuff on Collider. You can listen to my podcasts, Padre Pascal, the Powell Pod, the Fordcast, and Cinema Sibs, wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, this show. And you can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter at Rachel Leishman, and then Rachel_Leishman pretty much everywhere else.
Liam, where can the people find you on socials? One more time, where can they find Coffee Chats? And do you have anything exciting coming up?
Yeah, Coffee Chats is on ScreenRant Plus, the YouTube channel. It's also, you can find it on ScreenRant.com as well. Just give us keyword search, Coffee Chats, Noah Centineo. Boom, it should pop right up. I'm on social at Liam T. Crowley everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, most prominently on Instagram. Very blessed to have a lot of really cool interviews dropping right now. Robert De Niro and Eric Newman for 0 Day is live now. Daisy Ridley for Cleaner is live right now. Everything from 0 Day was actually, I was very, very happy with how those interviews and conversations went. I never do political thrillers, and it was really cool to kind of go into that genre and be in my bag a little bit, because I am like broadcast trained from back in the university days. So it's cool to kind of tap into that side a little bit. Beyond that, Daredevil Junket is this Sunday. So I have interviews with the Daredevil cast dropping at some point within the next week. And what else was I going to say? South by Southwest, of course, is coming up in March. Whole bunch of content. That is going to be an absolute monster of a week. And a lot of great people are putting a lot of tender love and care into making Screen Rant's opportunities happen. So your support, it might be me on the interviews, but there is a legion of people behind me making it possible. And you watching, you liking, you commenting means the world to all of us. So we really hope you support Screen Rant's coverage at South by Southwest. And then finally, I always say this whenever I'm on Agents of Fandom, but I just want to say, like, I'm really happy that this platform exists. Agents of Fandom, TJ started it. I remember the DM he sent me when he was first wanting to branch off a podcast he had into a full-on website, social media account, entertainment brand. And he has been the ground zero for a lot of really talented people in this industry. If you follow someone in the entertainment space who you enjoy their content, there's a really good chance they either did a guest spot on an Agents of Fandom show or they got their start at Agents of Fandom. TJ has taken people that I've recommended to him, and he's given them opportunities to host interviews and pop on the podcast and develop their voice. And it's really important in today's ever evolving, ever changing, ever unpredictable media landscape that brands like Agents of Fandom exist. So huge shout out to TJ, huge shout out to Garrett, everyone who's put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into keeping this thing active. We all from, the entertainment space really appreciate it. And we're glad that, the fans appreciate it as well.
Thank you so much, man. That's so incredibly kind. That means the world to me. And I'm thankful, I've met so many great people through doing this, and just the amount of people who I, like both of you actually, whose stuff I followed before I was in the industry and were like, wow, they're cool. I want to do that. I like how they do this. And it inspired me to, start this up, get it going. And it's really, truly been a blessing where I've gotten to meet all my best friends in the world now that are not colleagues anymore, but are just the people I talk to every day and have become my closest friends. I owe it to this. And so thank you so much. That was very, very kind. And thank you for starting back with the direct podcast back in the day, being one of my inspirations to want to do this in the first place. And, we got some really exciting interviews coming up with a lot of behind the scenes people, but I will say basically any of your favorite celebrities, Rachel or Liam, have interviewed them before pretty much. You want to put their combined stuff together and they probably talk to all of your favorite celebs. So make sure you follow Liam Liam T. Crowley, ScreenRant, Rachel Leishman, Rachel_Leishman on Instagram, Mary Sue, Collider, because they got some really great stuff going. We got some really great stuff going. Everybody love everybody. I love you all so much. Thank you for joining the show today, everyone. Live chat, smash that like button. Bex, SH, Brandon, Ava, Layla, Ruby, really great crew today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. We will see you next time. On behalf of myself, Rachel, and Liam, peace out, everybody.